on this edition of the Fifth Estate. We're in Ahmedabad, India, at the Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. Canada's national cricket team is here among the very best, but they're battling more than just their opponents.
It's a total mess.
We're digging into claims of corruption and potentially match fixing. Were you ever directed to do something that you felt was wrong?
I didn't allow that to happen, but I was asked.
But that's just the beginning. We've uncovered disturbing new allegations that organized crime has infiltrated the sport and is threatening anyone in their way.
We know where you live. You won't be able to run away from the Bishnoi group.
Is the Bishnoi gang calling the shots at Cricket Canada?
Not as far as I know.
You have been accused of match fixing. What's your response?
I can be accused anything, but it has to have a proof in it.
And we look at what happened at the World Cup when Canada stepped onto the pitch. Was the fix in?
100% it will happen with the Canadian team.
I'm Stephen D'Souza. This is the Fifth Estate. In this dust, the things dreams are made of. Every player here imagining what it would be like to hit the big shot on the biggest stage in the world. That stage is just 10 kilometers and a world away, where a different group is living that dream. 2 days before their first match, Team Canada stepped onto the pitch of the largest cricket stadium on Earth at the T20 Men's World Cup.
Look at the stadium, it looks fantastic. I think you have to enjoy the moment that you're in, and just being here, practicing here, I mean, dream come true.
We're just hoping that it's not packed to capacity because it might just be some stage fright if that happens, but we're excited to be here for sure.
The World Cup, held every 2 years, is a major event on the cricket calendar. The sport is the second most watched after soccer and boasts multi-million-dollar media rights deals, among the highest in the sports world. To the outside, the Canadian team appears to be heading into the tournament united, focused on winning. But beneath the social media veneer, multiple sources tell us Cricket Canada is rife with division, distrust, and fear.
There'll be a tad of nerves, there's no question about that. It's a big stage for this team.
And at the event, things only got worse.
Oh, you're kidding! One delivery, one wicket, not the best start for Canada.
Canada, ranked 19th in the world, got off to a terrible start. A sign of things to come, at an event where our investigation will ask, was there more to the team's poor performance? Were parts of Canada's matches fixed or influenced by outside forces? The game is a part of Canada's history. It was our first national sport. And the first ever international match was played in 1844, when the province of Canada beat the U.S. Cricket's growth has exploded across Canada in the last 10 years. Leagues and academies are bursting with new teams and players, leaving some cities and towns scrambling to find room for everyone to play. But in recent years, grassroots growth hasn't translated to international success. Many blame Cricket Canada's management. As a longtime fan and observer, I wanted to get to the bottom of what is really going on. Our investigation took us into a murky world that's plagued the sport internationally for decades. Match-fixing scandals have involved some of cricket's top stars, tested fans' faith, and strained the sport's integrity. Was Canada set to write another chapter in this dark history? And was organized crime involved?
Welcome back to CricChap Live, your space for real talk.
Devesh Shankar is the go-to voice for cricket news in Canada. He's not a journalist, he works in IT, but he has well-placed sources at all levels, so he's often breaking news and stirring up controversy with social media posts and live streams.
Cricket Canada right now is governed by the people who wants to capture this for power, to enjoy, free tickets, free tour.
Critics like Shankar say the sport is beset by infighting and internal politics. Each province has its own association. They're all members in Cricket Canada. When we began our investigation, the national governing body was run by this group, which had generated a lot of negative attention, from the president to the board to the CEO.
I will say these are not the people who have the right mindset and the right intent to serve the cricket.
Right now, there's little scrutiny from mainstream media, so issues at Cricket Canada have grown out of sight and have reached a breaking point.
Makes me really, really sad, right? Because instead of focusing on the right objective and the goal, they are focusing on court cases, misgovernance.
Cricket Canada has been fighting at least 3 court cases, including one in British Columbia. A group of provinces were looking to remove 4 directors from the board. The petition was led by this man, Arvinder Kosa, the president of Cricket BC. It said the change is necessary due to governance concerns and a lack of proper financial controls.
It's not about the game.
It's not about the game, not at all.
We began following the team on their journey in December.
So all of the same dynamic stuff we would go through on field is more or less what we're going to be doing when we're here.
The World Cup is 3 months away. Some players have taken time off from their regular jobs to follow their dream.
This is our 4th week doing it, so try to go a little bit heavier if you can.
Not everyone here will make the trip to the World Cup. As we'll learn, the biggest obstacle may be Cricket Canada itself.
How would you describe the state of Cricket Canada right now? It's a total mess, but I think it's much more than that.
Despite fears of professional retribution and danger to his physical safety, one high-placed Cricket Canada insider sat down with us. We agreed to protect his identity, including changing his voice.
It's become a place where corruption thrives.
He says you see it clearly in how Cricket Canada manages its finances. In 2024, they made $5.7 million, most of it coming from the International Cricket Council, the sport's Dubai-based governing body. There's money from tournaments and sponsors. Less than 1% of their budget comes from the federal government. But it's not clear if all the money is accounted for. In its most recent filing for 2024, an auditor wouldn't sign off because too much information was missing.
Ethics is all about doing the right thing when nobody's watching you. Here, what you do in small things, you also do in big things.
One big thing, players have been without a contract since July. All Cricket Canada would offer is pay for the 4 months leading up to the World Cup. As for the board, the Fifth Estate obtained an email that shows they gave themselves $4,000 each to attend the World Cup, even to those who couldn't go.
The poor players were getting $3,000 a month for 4 months. No self-respecting person can justify a player going away to train and to play at the World Cup level for $3,000 a month when the mortgage payments are much more than that.
At another facility nearby in Brampton, USA cricket players were also preparing for the World Cup. Their head coach, a man with a deep understanding of Cricket Canada's problems.
Head can come down a bit.
Pubadu Dasanayake played internationally for Sri Lanka. He then moved to Canada, where he played for the national team before becoming the head coach.
Canada was doing really well, but there was a transition period that I had to really work hard to get the team up. The plans are not going to work all the time.
He's a highly respected coach, which is why the United States snagged him to run their team at this World Cup, after Canada did not renew his contract. He led Canada to top international status, including World Cup appearances, and fought to make sure players were paid a living wage.
If you want to become a top team, you can't have players training only 5-6 hours a week. I want the players to be happy and even the financially stable off the field. I was able to build up the system.
D'Souza says heading into the 2024 World Cup, the board tried to force him to select certain players for the team. When he didn't, he says Cricket Canada told him his contract would be terminated. You've said that there were at least 5 players on that team that you wouldn't have selected. Is that the case?
Yeah. They shouldn't have been in the World Cup.
Why not? Why weren't they qualified?
And they didn't have performance to be there. Some of the guys haven't played cricket for 2-3 years locally.
Sources tell the Fifth Estate some members of the board, an assistant coach, and a player circulated a petition accusing him of bad behavior, pressuring some players to sign it or face consequences.
They were looking for a reason to take me out. At that moment, I was so disappointed to see, more than anything, that the system that we built was broken.
He is suing Cricket Canada for wrongful dismissal. Cricket Canada claims they simply didn't renew his contract, but wouldn't comment further because of the lawsuit.
Every 2 shots here, we'll take 1.
All of that loomed in the background as players prepared for the World Cup. And in a broken system, it's hard to hide the fault lines. We watched as the problems came out into the open.
You guys have something to say to these guys at practice. Don't call any board member. Don't pick up the phone. It comes through me. In and out. The board members are not supposed to be calling any one of you on this team.
A lecture from the team manager, who also happens to be vice president and on the board. Don't get into their politics. Focus on the game. Coming up, disturbing accusations about why some in management were trying to influence player selection. He was there to fix matches or to spot fix?
That's my personal belief, yes.
Today we welcome Team Canada's national cricket team to the house.
In December, the team took a break from World Cup training to travel to Parliament Hill, meeting with politicians who recognized the sport's value with a large segment of voters.
With a new wave of homegrown talent and thriving local and national leagues, cricket is flourishing all across the country.
Politicians celebrated the players, but was Ottawa paying attention to Cricket Canada? For years, the organization had enabled a culture to develop, where players who spoke up were removed, and top officials protected their own. The prime example, the former CEO, Salman Khan. He used to run the Calgary and District Cricket League. He left the provincial level to join the board at Cricket Canada. But his time in Calgary was controversial. Khan was accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars meant for fields and facilities. The local league sued him. Police began their own investigation.
Why you want to bring somebody into this organization with this kind of baggage?
But he became a Cricket Canada director anyway. Then in January 2025, just as police were about to lay charges, Khan got a promotion.
So without a proper vetting process, without being advertised that Cricket Canada was looking for a CEO, he maneuvered, manipulated, became the CEO.
We obtained a copy of his contract, which employment lawyers tell the Fifth Estate puts all the risk on Cricket Canada. If Khan is fired for anything other than a criminal conviction related to the job, he gets the full 5-year term paid out.
How would you agree when you don't want to pay players?
2 months after becoming CEO, police charged Khan with theft and fraud, but he remained in the job for 9 more months before Cricket Canada fired him. What does that tell you about how Cricket Canada is run?
It's run by folks that have an agenda to make the most for themselves personally and then to support their friends around them so they keep them as loyal as possible.
Hello?
Oh, hi, is this Salman Khan?
Yeah.
We tried to ask Khan what happened. We were hoping to hear your side of the story.
100% I can do that. I'm available sometime next week.
Next week? Okay. But after agreeing to talk, he ghosted us. Amidst the controversy over the CEO, Cricket Canada's board was also facing accusations of interfering with player selection.
So you're standing over here?
After moving to Canada, Srimantha Wijeratne was proud to wear the maple leaf.
It's obviously life goals, right? Like you want to compete against the best players, and getting that jersey was, an amazing moment. Same thing.
But before the 2024 World Cup, he was shocked to find out he was left off the national team. He says it's in part because he spoke up for players.
Feel for my parents and my family. Sorry. It wasn't a journey that came by myself. A lot of help.
But his case was not an isolated incident. There was a pattern. Rather than accept the team chosen by Cricket Canada's national selection panel, the board would pick their own players, some of whom weren't highly ranked. But was it favoritism or something more?
Why would they pick somebody who isn't qualified for the role?
Because that would give them an opportunity to put people who they want on the team and then control the outcome.
Control the outcome. Match fixing. In May 2025, a bombshell recording that alleged exactly that. The Fifth Estate obtained the phone call. It involves former head coach Karam Chauhan, who had replaced Pubudu Dasanayake.
They asked me to fix the match. They said they'll arrange the team and you'll make them play. I said, have you gone mad? What do you mean?
Chauhan didn't know he was being recorded. He's speaking Punjabi to another staff member, so we translated the call and had someone read it in English.
Salman, Imran, Bajwa, they are all involved in this.
He's talking about Amjad Bajwa, Cricket Canada's president, Rana Imran, a board member from Saskatchewan, and Salman Khan, Cricket Canada's CEO at the time.
That's a very serious matter of people interfering from outside. In hindsight, you can see why certain players were picked.
What Chauhan alleges is happening isn't fixing the whole match, but is just as bad. First, bets can be placed on who will be in the starting 11. Then there's spot fixing and session fixing, manipulating small parts of the game, for example. In both cases, anyone with advanced knowledge could bet and win big. You may be surprised to learn there's no specific law against match fixing or spot fixing in Canada. But there are laws against cheating in a game with the intent to defraud.
Wow, cricket fans, did you catch that Canada versus Bermuda match? It was a roller coaster.
On the recording, the former coach Karam Chauhan talks about a game against Bermuda in 2025.
They said this is the batting order and that's how the team will go.
But Chauhan says on the call he didn't follow those instructions. Canada won. Then he says he got a shocking call from the CEO, Salman Khan.
He yelled, "What did you do?" I asked what happened. "We made a team with you. We gave you the whole batting order. We told you who will play and who will not. What did you do?"
Former coach Pubudu Dasanayake says he too was asked for lineup information in advance.
Were you ever asked or were you ever directed to do something that you felt was wrong?
I was asked, to play certain players in the 11, or there's some people wants the team night before. No one can force me to do certain things within my system. So I didn't allow that to happen, but I was asked.
We tried the former coach Karam Chauhan.
I am on practice right now. I forgot that I have a session today.
He told us to call him back, but we never reached him. We've learned that a Cricket Canada board member sent the recording to the International Cricket Council's anti-corruption unit. But as for Cricket Canada itself, little was done internally.
What did they do about it? Nothing. They're all complicit in one way or the other. Silence is as good as being guilty.
There was no investigation, there was no committee struck to see whether the allegations were true. Did any of that take place?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
What do you think about that?
That proves my point. The whole thing is corrupt.
We are thrilled to welcome Cricket Canada's national men's team before they head off to the T20 World Cup.
For players, the saga only added to the off-field confusion, another distraction ahead of the World Cup. In public, they had to put their game face on. Just before heading off to Sri Lanka to train ahead of the big event, Brampton, Ontario Mayor Patrick Brown hosted a send-off.
Brampton is the cricket capital of Canada, and we want to make sure that there is a legion of fans and admirers across the country from coast to coast that want to see you succeed.
At this point, Nicholas Curtin, a longtime star with the team, appears to be captain.
Obviously, as you can see, the talent is there, so just about getting that preparation together, getting the team together, we could probably pull off 1 or 2 upsets.
1, 2, 3.
The team leaves Canada with 5 weeks to go to the World Cup. But when they arrive in Sri Lanka, the board delivers news that catches players and coaches by surprise. They've installed a new captain, a shocking move so close to the start of the World Cup. They chose Dilpreet Bajwa, no relation to the president of Cricket Canada. He's a young talent, but with far less experience than many of his teammates.
Why do you think Dilpreet Bajwa was chosen as captain?
Simply a matter of somebody having influence on what's going to happen to the games and who's going to play and who's not going to play.
He was there to fix matches or to spot fix?
That's my personal belief, yes.
How does that feel to even say that out loud, that the captain of Canada's national team could be influencing the match?
It pains me, but the truth must be told. The coach has no control over the team. The manager has no control over the team. The team is being selected by people from outside.
But who are the outsiders? Coming up.
They're like, if you don't get along with us, we know where you live. You won't be able to run away from the Bishnoi group.
By the spring of 2025, Cricket Canada was in turmoil. Its leadership faced allegations of financial mismanagement, mistreating players, and match fixing. All of that set the field for organized crime to move in. It's now July 1st and the country's top cricketers are in BC. National players and officials, including Cricket Canada President Amjad Bajwa. Next to him, Arvinder Kosa. Remember, he's part of the 4 provincial associations who wanted to oust Cricket Canada's leadership. And sources say he's tied to a darker side of the game. That same night, players were out celebrating at a nearby restaurant. Also there, a star for Canada's national team, who multiple sources say was threatened.
A couple of players and a few other individuals, they came to his table. They were a little bit aggressive. They asked him to step outside the restaurant. He's like, no. So they took him on the side.
This man is involved in cricket on the West Coast. We're hiding his appearance and have changed his voice because speaking out has already put him at risk. He says the national player was given a warning. Don't interfere with the selection of certain players on the provincial and national teams.
He's like, if you don't support these 2 guys in the team, then we will tell you who Lawrence Bishnoi is.
The federal government has declared the Bishnoi gang a terrorist entity after months of political pressure to act.
The Bishnoi gang is a violent criminal organization named after its leader, Lawrence Bishnoi. He reportedly runs the operation from prison in India. It's been linked to a number of extortion-related crimes and shootings across Canada. including the 2022 killing of Punjabi rap star Sidhu Moosewala, who rose to fame while living in Canada. Organized crime is often connected to illegal betting, which can net them billions. This source and others say the threats were about protecting specific players.
So they straight up said this wording to him, that you must take care of these guys. These guys should not get dropped from the team. If they do, you are in trouble. Obviously, that was very scary for him.
He says the main player they wanted protected, Dilpreet Bajwa.
So if they got dropped from the national team, this other player could face the consequence.
Absolutely, that's what they meant.
Days after the restaurant incident, our source says he tried to stand up for the national player, and in return, he received death threats too.
We know where you live, and you won't be able to run away from us. You won't be able to run away from the Bishnoi group. We warned you, and you didn't obey. Your time is over now. You want to run anywhere? Run. You will not survive.
Multiple sources tell us that the incident at the BC restaurant involving the national team player was reported to provincial officials and Cricket Canada's president, Amjad Bajwa.
Did he do anything about it?
To be honest, nobody has done anything about it. Everybody's scared. Nobody wants to talk about it.
At one point, our source got a call from BC Cricket president Arvinder Khosa.
So he calls me and he's like, you know what? These guys are serious. So you need to be cautious.
He says he realized Khosa was linked to the players who made the threats, but on the call, Khosa denied having any involvement. Police took the death threat seriously. They eventually arrested and seized the phones of the two players from the restaurant accused of making the threats. Cruisers were put outside our source's home, and the national player, who was traveling outside Canada, lived in constant fear. Delta Police confirmed to the Fifth Estate that it is investigating allegations of interference and threats related to cricket at both the provincial and national levels. They also say because the allegations involve a national sport, they've notified the RCMP. The threats made in July came 6 months before the national team was chosen and when Dilpreet Bajwa was made captain. Was it part of a long-term plan to use regional events to boost his profile?
Bajwa. Oh, that's beautiful. That is magnificent. That's the way to play.
They wanted to use him for whatever they wanted to.
What were they using him for?
I personally feel they wanted to fix the games, make money out of it. That's why they knew they can use him.
How do you know that? Do you have evidence?
What other reasons can there be that they can go to an extent to make him captain for a Canadian team? And there were like 5-6 other people who were ahead of him and were well deserving for the job.
We know Bajwa's captaincy was announced after the team had already traveled overseas, after a board vote that stunned some players, even the head coach. Unlike most sports, in cricket, the captain has exceptional power on the field, making critical decisions in real time. Gambling is illegal in most Indian states, but that hasn't stopped bettors from flocking to online sites, in some cases run by criminal networks.
To get a better sense of what's really going on, we're on our way to meet someone with insider knowledge of the underworld of cricket betting.
We meet a man we're calling Pintu. He's connected to those illegal betting syndicates, so for his safety, we're hiding his identity and have replaced his voice.
The format is basically the fixer never directly communicates with the player, but they're connected with the boss of the players. The script is given to the boss, who lets the fixer know what the strategy will be and how the fixing is going to take place.
A bowler could throw an illegal delivery. Batters could limit how much they score during a specific portion of the game. Anyone with advance notice of the sequence of events, known as the script, could cash in.
When you're watching a cricket match, what signals do you see on the field that tell you something is happening, that the fix is in?
Depends on who is involved. If it's a batsman, they'll give a sign, like touching their knee pads or adjusting their cap or the helmet. If it's the bowler, they might start and then stop and go back again.
And do you think it is actually happening with the Canadian team itself?
100%. 100% it will happen with the Canadian team.
Stopping match fixing at the highest level of the sport is the job of the International Cricket Council's Anti-Corruption Unit, also known as the ACU. We had a lot to ask their senior investigator, Andrew Fgrave. First off, were they aware of the recording in which Cricket Canada's president and the former CEO were accused of manipulating the lineup?
I am aware of that recording, but in terms of an investigation and details of our investigations, because of that confidentiality, I can't really discuss any details.
Can you tell us if there are any active investigations on players or officials in Canada right now?
Again, I wouldn't be able to comment specifically regarding any investigations that we were taking in relation to persons in Canada.
We've also learned the national player threatened last year in BC reported the threats to the ACU.
I am aware of some allegations. That very much is a domestic matter for wherever that's taken place and very much a law enforcement responsibility.
Are you concerned that the Bishnoi gang may be attempting to influence the game?
I'm not aware of any specific information in relation to those. If we had any specific information, we would engage with law enforcement partners.
That interview with the ACU took place before Canada had played a match at the World Cup. It's important to note the timeline because of what happens next. It's just before Canada's first game. We're making our way to a rooftop to record the opening for this episode. In the middle of the shoot, producer Roxana Woloshin starts getting WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, so Pintu messaged just as we were recording.
Yeah.
Our source in the betting world told us a script was available for Canada's match, plays we could bet on in advance.
He forwarded us something that said, yes, it's available before the match start, I'll ping you.
So this is a message he's getting from his fixer.
The script would cost about $37,000 Canadian. We can't know for sure if it's real and who might be involved, because obtaining it would be breaking the law.
And for the Canadians, they know they've got it all to do against a strong New Zealand team.
Then came Canada's third match of the event. Multiple sources tell us that Canada's captain did something here that definitely raised suspicion. It's the fifth over. Bajwa, known more as a batter, chooses himself to bowl and literally sets off alarm bells.
Dilpreet Bajwa, the skipper. Oh
no! Those sirens signal that he threw a no ball. His foot is over the line, rendering the delivery illegal.
He's begun with a no ball. Dilpreet, spinners, that's a heinous crime to bowl a no ball as a spinner.
Because bowlers who spin the ball on delivery have a slow run-up, they should be able to control where their foot lands. A mistake like this shouldn't happen at this level. Sources on the ground tell us that after this match, Bajwa, the captain, missed a team meeting. He was called in by the Anti-Corruption Unit. He was interviewed and had his phone searched.
Here we are talking about the World Cup, the biggest event in cricket in the world, and the Canadian captain is being accused of influencing the game. What do you think about that?
It's the culture we don't want to flourish, right? That's why I stood against it, and I'm speaking against it.
Our Cricket Canada insider says few will speak out because they're afraid for their safety.
All the threats are real, and so what happens is when you speak up, your days are numbered, and they'll come after you. And it's already been proven, nobody is safe.
Coming up, we go face-to-face with Cricket Canada.
Sir, you know about these threats. Is the Bishnoi gang calling the shots at Cricket Canada?
Not as far as I know.
We've uncovered evidence of threats against a number of people in Canada's cricket community. Threats by those claiming to be members of the Bishnoi gang, a violent criminal organization. Some of the threats were allegedly meant to protect BC player and new Canadian captain Dilpreet Bajwa's position on the team. He's now facing suspicions of spot fixing at the World Cup. 4 sources say Arvinder Kosa is linked to the threats. Remember, he's the president of Cricket BC and the man leading the provincial revolt against Cricket Canada's leadership. At our Vancouver office, we asked him if he played any role in Dilpreet Bajwa becoming captain of Team Canada.
No, how can I am not in the Cricket Canada, right? I have no vote in the Cricket Canada. I am not director or selector in the Cricket Canada.
We also asked him about the incident at the restaurant last year where a national player was threatened. Those threats were reported to police and to him in his role as Cricket BC president.
Maybe they have arguments or not arguments. I have no idea about that.
I want to be clear though, you're saying that you're not aware that the name of the Bishnoi gang was used in these threats?
I have no idea about that. Yeah.
Can you tell us, are you aware that the Bishnoi gang is making threats against people in cricket in your province?
I have no idea.
The Fifth Estate, though, has reviewed the messages where he and others in Cricket BC were told about the threats.
We have sources telling us that they've been threatened by people claiming to be the Bishnoi gang, that you are aware of this, that you in fact are connected to this, and you're telling me that you don't know? That can't be true. You're not being honest with me, sir.
Just one matter. Which
this is beyond that matter. There are a number of sources we have. A number of incidents.
I have no idea.
He denies any connection to the threats.
This is like a political propaganda. I'm never involved in this kind of shit.
But threats turned to violence in late February. The Fifth Estate obtained this exclusive video of a neighborhood in Calgary. The homeowner is another high-level figure at Cricket Canada. We're not naming him for his safety. He faced multiple threats and left his role after a second shooting in early March. Police have charged one person, but have not made a connection to organized crime. Some of the threats he faced related to that fight for control of Cricket Canada unfolding in a BC court, the one involving Arvinder Kosa. It's one of the biggest legal battles facing the organization. Remember, this is where provincial associations wanted to oust some senior leadership, including the president. In late March, a BC judge ruled on the case. He blasted the organization for fighting multiple civil wars driven by egos and ambitions. The judge criticized all sides for wasting taxpayer money on lawyers and ordered Cricket Canada to hold a special general meeting where the fate of its leaders would be put to a vote. Just before that vote took place, we learned the board was holding an urgent meeting at a hotel near Toronto. Joining them, a major representative from the International Cricket Council. We had been trying for more than a month to get an interview with Cricket Canada and its president, Amjad Bajwa, with no success.
Mr. Bajwa, Stephen D'Souza from CBC. We have some very serious allegations. I know you sent us an email, but we want to ask you about threats from the Bishnoi gang attempting to influence the team. What can you say about that?
No, I don't have any idea.
You don't have any idea. Sir, you know about these threats. Is the Bishnoi gang calling the shots at Cricket Canada?
Not as far as I know.
But you know about threats against a national team player by people claiming to be the Bishnoi gang?
Nobody came to me.
No, people have come to you, sir. You know about this.
That's police matter, not mine.
We know a member of the national team did go to police and also informed Cricket Canada about the threats, including the president.
Was Dilpreet Bajwa put on the team because of threats?
Not as far as I know.
Did he know the captain was interviewed by the ICC's anti-corruption unit for actions at the World Cup?
No, I have no idea. Nobody.
You don't know?
Nobody told me.
You don't know that he's being investigated, that he was called in by the ACU?
Nobody told me.
How is that possible, sir? You were the president of Cricket Canada. How are you not aware of this?
This is a matter between ICC and the player, right? We don't have any say in these things.
And what about the allegations we heard on that recording of the president being involved in fixing parts of matches?
No, it's went to the ICC and they're looking into it. I haven't heard anything over the year.
You have been accused of match fixing. What's your response?
I can be accused anything, but it has to have a proof in it.
Then there's the BC judge's decision, a scathing rebuke of Cricket Canada's mismanagement, with a vote set and Bajwa's future hanging in the balance.
If membership wants this board to go, we can go.
Eventually, the ICC's representative appeared and shut things down.
Excuse me, how's media allowed?
I don't know. But
What's the ICC doing
guys
about
are-
Cricket
you guys
Canada?
aren't
Can you
allowed.
tell us about, is the ICC going to dissolve Cricket Canada?
Thank you very much.
We are going to be here all day. If you'd
That's
like to
fine.
answer our questions, we have
Thank
plenty
you
more.
very much.
Less than 2 weeks later, the court-ordered vote took place. The result? Bajwa's fate was sealed. He was voted out. So too the vice president. Coming in, the new president of Cricket Canada, the one to start a new chapter, Cricket BC's Arvinder Khosa, a man multiple sources say is connected to the threats that have some living in fear.
I am a very positive guy. I am always focused on the positivity in the growth or betterment of the sports. I am not want to involve this kind of shits or something. Yeah.
He inherits an embattled organization, including the fallout from the firing of CEO Salman Khan, who is fighting to get Cricket Canada to pay out the remainder of his contract, $475,000. In a statement to the Fifth Estate, Khan said he categorically denies the allegations in the theft case in Calgary. He also denies any involvement in spot fixing, session fixing, betting, or influencing team selection for improper purposes. As for Rana Imran, the board member from Saskatchewan, he also denied the allegations of manipulating matches made on the phone recording. Dilpreet Bajwa, who was replaced as captain shortly after the World Cup, did not respond to our requests for comment. And while the leadership at Cricket Canada has changed, our board insider says the problems aren't likely to go away unless the federal government or the ICC step in.
So you have to change the system. It's not worked so far. So to do the same things and expect a different result will be the height of stupidity.
Sport Canada says it's encouraged Cricket Canada to improve its governance if it wants to receive future funding, but says an overhaul of the organization's leadership is beyond Sport Canada's mandate. It is within the International Cricket Council's mandate, but so far, they've chosen not to intervene.
Who suffers when there's all this corruption at the top of Cricket Canada?
Future players, current players, and parents who have invested a lot of money trying to get their kids to play cricket and do the right thing.
In BC, police are still investigating threats against those in the cricket world. Our source says in his eyes, the damage to the sport is done.
Basically, now people think, oh, to play for Canada or something, you need to be friends with these guys, right?
You need to be friends with gangsters.
That's my frustration.